All right, Mark Rogers TV talking South Carolina football. The Gamecocks coming off a 9-4 season, of course, capped off by that comeback win against Michigan in the Outback Bowl. We bring in Will Gunter. You can catch him on the all-new early game 107.5 The Game. Will, how you doing this post-Christmas and New Year's now?
I've been in Tampa, so over my shoulder.
Here it is.
The tree is still up and lit, so we're doing well. That's what this weekend's for, to kind of recover and get away from the holidays and the bowl season. But it's been a fun holidays, a fun bowl season. Obviously, if you're a South Carolina fan, it's been a great bowl season. And even going back to the early signing period, I think if you're a Gamecock fan, you're exceptionally happy right now.
And Will, not that you need me to tell you this, but you look smashing in a scarf.
I'm glad you followed the Twitter, the Facebook, or whatever. Yeah, that was. You got to remember, I'm in South Carolina. Scarves are generally not necessary, but obviously right now, the whole East Coast, prayers with the whole East Coast, but it was a necessary, and I got rave reviews, so I got to add at least 5 more scarves to the collection to be able to rock them Monday through Saturday.
I hear you. I just had close to 2 hours driving both to and from work today. Not water, the white stuff all over the place, blowing everywhere, and tough to see and tough to get through, but we made it. But no scarf for me. I don't know when the last time I owned a scarf.
Right.
Not a scarf guy, but I don't carry one off like you do.
Right. Well, I tell you, man, it's a fashion thing. It was a good 2000. It was a good 2017. I lost about 30 pounds. Why not incorporate the scarf at the very end of the year? So that's a whole. We could do a whole nother episode on scarves and men's and fashions, and bring a whole different element of viewers to your podcast and your viewership here.
Well, if we were coming off a 9-loss season like we were a couple of years ago, maybe we'd have to do that. But 9-4 and coming off an impressive second half against Michigan, down 19-3. The offense completely dead at that point. The Michigan defense, and not just the offense being dead, but reasonable thinking is who comes back against that Michigan defense down 2 scores, 16 points. But Michigan obviously handed them a few opportunities. South Carolina took it, and that was a big win, I think.
I think there's a massive difference, especially for Will Muschamp. And look, selling South Carolina and selling Florida, they're 2 entirely different animals. I totally get that. But Will Muschamp and this staff, and Travaris Robinson, who is soon to be announced as $1 million coordinator, and the rest of the staff. I shouldn't leave the rest of the staff out. Eric Wolford and Bobby Bentley and Coleman Hutzler, Mike Peterson. They're very good recruiters. They are. This is a good recruiting staff. Now, again, selling Florida and selling South Carolina is 2 entirely different animals. But selling 9-4 and selling 8-5 is also 2 entirely different animals. In South Carolina right now, you got to remember what's going on around here. You got Clemson in one part that's obviously in the college football playoff and was eliminated. You got Georgia, who's going to the college football championship game. It's not easy to recruit in South Carolina's territory right now. It's not easy. But obviously winning that game, look, nobody cares. No recruit. I said this on the radio last week. There is not a single recruit who Will Muschamp and Travaris Robinson and whoever the offensive coordinator, Brian McClendon or whomever, will walk into the house and say, we went 9-4, and the recruit's going to pull out a sheet of paper and go, well, you beat Florida and they fired their coach, and you beat Tennessee and they fired their coach, and you beat Arkansas. No recruit cares. They see 9-4. Look, for South Carolina and recruiting, again, with this staff, that was monumental what happened on Monday afternoon. And again, to go back to your point, I don't know what's the bigger shocker, that Michigan's defense gave up basically 23 unanswered, or that South Carolina's offense scored 23 unanswered in the final 20 minutes.
I still think that Michigan defense is really good. So I thought it was something. Obviously, the Michigan offense helped out tremendously, killing 2 drives, one that they were going in to make it 26-3. They were about 4 yards shy of making it 26-3, and I believe Kinlaw made a tremendous play in the pile there around the 3-yard line to pry one loose to turn that one over. And then, of course, they get the red zone interception in the end zone off Michigan and make the 2 big plays otherwise on defense. And, again, got some help from the Michigan offense trying to give a handoff to a fullback or a tight end playing fullback wasn't necessarily the smartest play in a tight game when you're giving the ball to a guy for the first time during the game. But what can you gather from this game? in regards to the play on the field. Not just you gave us possible ramifications in recruiting and selling a team that won a bowl game and finished with 9 wins, but in regards to what you saw on the field.
Nothing. Look, I think people, and we've talked about this obviously the last 3 days on the radio program. In terms of the offense, they had 300 yards. They had 300 yards of total offense against Georgia. They had 270 against Clemson. They had 210. So Michigan's really good, and they had more offensive yards. Take with that what you will. 10 points come from turnovers. Obviously, the 21-yard touchdown pass. Now, I will say this, and this should be noted. People did not like Kurt Roper because in those situations, they had grown accustomed to there was a turnover at the 20-yard line. South Carolina was 20 yards away from a touchdown. They had grown accustomed to Steve Spurrier going for the throw. And Kurt Roper was more of a just running up the backside of the center kind of guy. Brian McClendon went for the throw. And you know what? Jake Bentley threw a good pass. Brian Edwards made a good catch. And all of a sudden, you're within 19, you're within 3 points. It's 19-16. So there is something to be said for that, even though it's only 21 yards. But the other one, you get the field goal. So 10 points, basically 10 points coming within 20 yards of your own end zone. Take with that what you will. They hit the long pass. You know, Brian McClendon's a first-time play caller, Mark. I'm one of those guys. Look, he has to develop this, and I'm not going to be an absolutist on this either. I think Jake Bentley in his junior year will be better. I think the offensive line with better players will be better. I think all those players will be veterans. So when you ask, what did you take away from it? Well, not much, because I think this team will be different in 2018. I don't care if Kurt Roper was calling the plays, if Brian McClendon is the guy that calls the plays, or if we get a totally different name that calls the plays. And by the way, Brian McClendon, I think, will be the guy, just for your record. But I don't know if what we watched Monday – I'm sorry, I'll do that multiple times. I don't know if we watched what we saw Monday was indicative of anything that we can take forward moving to the future.
Will Gunter joining us to talk South Carolina football from the all-new early game 107.5 The Game. So I like the contrasting points with the two big pass plays. The one to Shi Smith, obviously, that was wide open. It was a blown Michigan coverage. Well, he basically beat his guy one-on-one. The safety went to the wrong side of the field. Jake Bentley was able to see that, deliver the ball, and they scored the big 53-yard play. The other one that you point to, Michigan played about as good as pass defense in that as you possibly could. The safety got back. The corner was beaten, but not badly. He was right there. It was just a good throw and catch. It was also good to see Hayden Hurst get involved in the second half and then find him downfield for some big plays as well in the passing game. And then I thought the 20-some-odd yard touchdown run by Rico Dowdle, where they pulled out the option play, was a good change of pace to throw at that Michigan defense, and it definitely worked.
You know, I know where you're going with all that, and I'll say this. What was interesting? Well, number one, we laughed. Let me go back and tell the story. We're in the press box, and Jake Bentley hits that touchdown pass, the long one, the 53-yarder to Shi Smith, and we're all laughing, going, Kurt Roper's sitting somewhere right now going, oh, now he hits the long pass. Those were open all year. And Jake Bentley just simply, I mean, I was rewatching the Missouri game, for reasons I'm not going to get into earlier this week. And Jake Bentley's got Hayden Hurst streaking down the sideline wide open, and he just flat out missed and threw it into the crowd. And so we were kind of laughing when he connected with the Shi Smith pass, that somewhere Kurt Roper's going, oh, yeah, now he hits the long bomb for a touchdown. Of course, now he does. I will say I think some of that is the quarterback coach. Say what you will. The quarterback coach is Bobby Bentley, Jake Bentley's father. Bobby Bentley in this state is known for producing quarterbacks. That's what he did at Burns High School. I think that had something to do with it. You mentioned the throw to Brian Edwards. Again, it was a really good throw. You mentioned the throw to Hayden Hurst. It wasn't like receivers went up and it was badly thrown balls and they're flinging their arms up and making one-handed catches. They were balls that were put in position to be caught, and they allowed the receivers to go and catch it. So I thought that was good. The speed option play. Here's what's fascinating about that, in my opinion, when you talk about the South Carolina offense. We constantly ask Rico Dowdle, we ask Hayden Hurst, we ask Jake Bentley post-game. What about that play? They wouldn't throw Kurt Roper under the bus, but the same thing was said by all three players. We actually ran plays in the game that we practiced leading up to the game. That's kind of eye-opening. What would happen in the games when Kurt Roper was called? Would you all of a sudden completely abandon the game plan and start calling other things? I think, look, I am pro Brian McClendon. and I don't know if I'll make this apparent on this interview that we do, I am pro Brian McClendon regardless of one game, because I think that one, there's going to be a lot of talent there, and two, I think he's a great recruiter, and I think South Con needs recruiters right now. But I think you saw a difference in philosophy, and I think it paid off late in the game as he made some adjustments with the help of some of his assistants.